Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're going deep on something totally different this time.
Oh, yeah.
DAOs.
DAOs.
Decentralized Autonomous Organizations.
Very cool.
So we've got this excerpt from Building a Democratic DAO.
Okay.
And it's fascinating stuff. Like,
Yes.
basically, imagine a world where you get to decide how projects get funded
Right.
and how they're developed, and it's all powered by the blockchain.
It's really interesting because it flips the script on
Okay.
how we normally think of organizations.
Yeah.
Because DAOs use blockchains and smart contracts, it means there's not that centralized control anymore.
Yeah.
It's all about decisions being made by the members.
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
Collectively.
yeah, like a digital co-op, but with a ton more transparency and security.
Yeah, that's way better than, like, pitching your idea to some VC.
Right.
Or begging for a grant.
Exactly.
So how does it actually work?
So if you have an idea for a project,
Mm-hmm.
you submit it to the DAO
Okay.
as a really detailed proposal. Okay.
Then anyone who has voting power
Uh-huh.
gets to decide if it gets funded.
Cool. So is it just like a free-for-all or
No.
is there some structure?
Definitely structure.
Okay.
DAOs use smart contracts
Oh.
to make sure the voting process is fair and transparent.
Okay.
For example, one thing they use is called a quorum,
Okay.
which basically means there's a minimum number of votes needed
Mm-hmm.
for anything to pass.
I see.
And to prevent people with a ton of tokens
Yeah.
from just controlling everything.
Uh-huh.
Some DAOs have this thing called quadratic voting.
What's that?
It gives more weight to people with smaller holdings.
So it's more balanced.
Exactly.
So do I have to be like online all the time voting?
Not at all.
Okay.
Some smaller DAOs use direct voting, like
Mhm.
one person, one vote.
Right.
But for bigger DAOs,
Yeah.
they do something called delegated voting.
Okay.
That's where you choose someone to represent you.
So kind of like elections, but without...
Like campaigning and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the voting system,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the money?
Yes.
How do we know that the money's being used well?
Well, that's where the beauty of smart contracts comes in.
Okay.
The funds are kept in secure escrows,
Uh-huh.
and they're only released when certain things happen,
Like what?
like when the project hits specific milestones.
Oh, so you can't just get a blank check.
Exactly. They have to actually do the work.
That makes sense.
It's all about accountability.
So are there humans involved at all?
Yeah, many DAOs use what are called multi-signature wallets.
Okay.
So for any really big transaction, you
Mhm.
need multiple people to approve it.
So like multiple keys to a safe.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And a lot of DAOs will do these audits
Uh-huh.
to check their smart contracts and
Uh-huh.
make sure that everything is secure.
So they've really thought this through.
They really have.
But we still need some humans though, right?
Oh, yeah,
Like somebody to steer the ship.
for sure. As DAOs get bigger, they often form these committees
Okay.
to help with decisions.
Got it.
Sometimes these are community-led,
Okay.
so everybody gets a say.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes it's a mix of community members and, like, experts.
Right. So it's like the wisdom of the crowd
Yeah,
combined with some experts.
exactly.
But I imagine that gets pretty complicated
It can be.
as the DAO grows.
It does, and that's
Mhm.
why there's a bunch of tools and platforms
Right.
designed to help DAOs run smoothly.
Like what?
Well, think of like project management apps
Okay.
or online banking platforms,
Got it.
but they're specifically made for DAOs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So with all this stuff going on behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
how do DAOs stay transparent?
Well, one of the biggest things about DAOs is transparency,
Right.
and a lot of them use open source code,
Okay.
which means anyone can look at the code,
Uh-huh.
see how it works,
Yeah.
and even suggest changes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they're really serious about this.
Yeah, they're really trying to do things differently.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got a good foundation now
Yeah.
of how these DAOs work.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm really interested in
Yeah.
is seeing how they're actually being used
Oh, yeah, that's the fun part.
to shake things up.
It is.
So let's dive into some real-world examples.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've got all these DAOs out there doing different things.
Oh, yeah, there's DAOs funding all kinds of projects.
So like what?
Well, we've got everything from scientific research
Wow.
to supporting artists.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like imagine a world where
Okay.
artists can bypass those big record labels
Right.
and get funding directly from their fans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what DAOs like Seed Club are doing.
Seed Club. Okay.
Yeah, they're all about helping online creators,
Love.
like musicians and writers,
Mm-hmm.
to build communities
Okay.
and fund their projects.
So it's kind of like Patreon,
Yeah, kind of.
but with the blockchain.
Exactly. It's all about giving creators more control.
That's awesome.
And there's another DAO called Ples DAO.
Ples DAO. What do they do?
They're collectively investing in NFTs.
Oh, cool.
Like high-value NFTs.
Okay.
They actually own the original Doge meme image.
No way, really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Right.
So they're like art collectors.
In a way,
Yeah.
that's so cool. But they're also supporting up-and-coming artists
Oh, that's great.
and funding projects in the digital art space.
Okay, so they're really trying to shape the future of art.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about DAOs doing science stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Like pushing the boundaries of research?
So there's this DAO called Vida DAO,
Vida DAO?
and they're all about extending human lifespan
Wow.
and a health span.
So like longevity research.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a tough one to get funding for.
It is.
From like traditional sources.
Right, and that's where DAOs are so cool.
Okay.
Because Vida DAO brings together all these scientists and researchers who are passionate about this.
Right.
And lets them support projects they believe in.
So it's like crowdsourcing for science.
Yeah, and there's less bureaucracy.
That's cool.
So they can explore those more unconventional ideas.
Okay, so we've got art, we've got science.
Mm-hmm.
What about using DAOs to actually make the world a better place?
Yeah, for sure.
Like social impact.
There's a DAO called Giveth.
Give us okay.
And it's basically a platform for charitable giving.
Oh, wow.
So imagine a global community
Okay.
coming together to fund projects
Mhm.
that align with their values.
So it's kind of like
a
global GoFundMe.
Yeah, but with transparency and accountability.
That's incredible. What kind of things are they funding?
Oh, they're funding all kinds of stuff.
Like what?
Like environmental projects and refugee aid and community development projects.
So they're really making a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so DAOs are disrupting industries,
Mm-hmm.
funding groundbreaking research, and even changing how we think about charity.
Yeah.
But are they just a fad?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, are they here to stay?
The DAOs are still pretty young,
Yeah.
but the way they're growing
Mhm.
and the sheer variety of things they're being used for,
Yeah.
it seems like they might be more than a fad.
Okay, so what's driving all this growth?
Well,
Like, why are people so excited about DAOs?
part of it is that people are getting disillusioned
Okay.
with those big institutions,
Uh-huh.
and they want something different,
Yeah.
something more transparent and accountable.
Okay.
And DAOs offer that.
It's like taking back control.
Exactly.
And the blockchain really helps, too.
It does.
With all that decentralization and security.
Yeah, the blockchain is kind of what makes this whole thing possible.
It's all starting to make sense now.
Good.
But let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be some downsides to DAOs.
Oh, of course.
Like, what kind of challenges are they facing?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is scalability.
Okay.
As DAOs get bigger,
Yeah.
decision-making can get really slow.
Right. Because you've got all these people
Exactly.
trying to agree on things.
It's not easy.
And what about the technical side of things?
Yeah, security's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sure the code is really solid.
Yeah.
And then there's all the legal stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Governments are still trying to figure out what DAOs are.
It's like the Wild West out there.
It really is.
But even with those challenges,
Yeah,
it seems like the potential benefits outweigh the risks.
I think so.
So what's next for DAOs?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited about all the new tools and platforms
Okay.
that are being built for DAOs.
Like what?
There are tools for governance,
Mm-hmm.
voting,
Uh-huh.
treasury management.
Oh.
It's making it so much easier to
Yeah.
build and run a DAO.
So DAOs are becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, I think so.
And that means...
We're going to see even more creative ways to use them.
Yeah, what?
Well, I think we'll see them used
Okay.
to change how companies are structured
Wow.
and even how we fund public services.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Good.
So we've gone from the basics
Yeah,
to real-world examples
Mhm.
to, like, the future of DAOs.
exactly.
But now I want to bring it back to our listeners.
Okay.
Like, what does all this mean
Yeah,
for the average person?
that's a great question and a perfect segue
Okay?
because in the next part,
Mhm.
we're going to talk about how you can get involved.
Awesome. Okay, so we've talked about what DAOs are and the awesome stuff they're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff.
But how can people actually get involved?
Well, the good news is
Okay.
it's easier than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, remember DAOs are all about community
Right.
and participation. So,
Okay, so what are those first steps?
well, first off, I'd say learn a little more.
Okay.
We've given you a good overview,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always more to learn.
Right.
And the more you understand,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be.
So where do we go to learn more?
There are tons of resources online,
Okay.
but you also want to find some DAOs that you're actually interested in.
Right, like ones that align with like your values and stuff.
Exactly. And there are websites that can help with that.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, there's Deep DAO and DAO House.
Okay.
They're like search engines for DAOs.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, you can search by category,
Okay.
see what's out there, and find some that you connect with.
So once you've found a DAO that you like, how do you actually join?
Well, it depends on the DAO.
Okay.
But usually you need to get some of their tokens.
Tokens.
Yeah, think of them like a membership card.
Okay.
They give you ownership and voting rights.
Okay, so where do you get those?
You can usually buy them on cryptocurrency exchanges.
Ah, so that's where the blockchain comes in.
Exactly.
So once you have the tokens, what can you actually do?
Well, now you have a voice
Okay.
in how the DAO is run.
Cool.
You can vote on proposals.
Yeah.
You can share your ideas.
Yeah.
You can even run for a position.
Wow, so you're really part of the decision-making?
You are. It's all about community ownership.
But what if you don't have time for all that?
That's totally fine.
Okay.
There are other ways to contribute.
Like what?
Well, think about your skills.
Okay.
Maybe you're good at writing or design.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're a community builder.
Mm-hmm.
DAOs need all kinds of help.
So find your niche.
Exactly.
And I know people are curious about the money side of things.
Yeah.
Like, are DAOs a good investment?
Well, it's important to remember that DAOs are still pretty new, and there are risks involved.
Right. It's like any investment.
Exactly.
You got to do your research.
For sure.
And never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Absolutely.
But what if you just want to support a DAO?
Yeah.
Like you believe in their mission?
Then I say go for it.
Okay.
DAOs give you a chance to put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You know, to support something you really believe in.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've learned a lot about DAOs.
We have.
We've seen how they work, and we've even talked about how to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the final takeaway here?
Well, I think the biggest thing is this is just the beginning.
Right.
DAOs are constantly evolving, so stay curious and keep learning.
That's what we're all about here.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an awesome deep dive.
It has.
We hope you've enjoyed it.
Me too.
And we hope you'll join us next time
See you then.
for another deep dive into the world of
Blockchain.
and beyond.
Yeah.